Tag TV brings you daily news bulletin from India. Breaking news and views from India.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lepakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Tuesday, the 23rd of April. Indian Prime Minister votes in third phase of general election. All evidence on Masood Azhar, Jay shared with China, says Indian Foreign Ministry. And Sri Lanka remains in shock after Sunday Easter bombings. And now for all the details. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi cast his vote along with millions of Indians in the third phase of the mammoth general election in the country on Tuesday. The seven-phase general election, which began on April 11th, is spread over 39 days with the final phase on May 19th. Votes will be counted on May 23rd and the results are expected the same day.
Millions of Indians voted in the third and largest phase of the mammoth general election on Tuesday, including Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who cast his ballot in his home province of Gujarat and again underlined the need to combat terrorism. So far, the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party or BJP has aggressively pushed its national security record as it seeks to offset the opposition's charges of economic mishandling and inadequate jobs creation. After casting his vote, Modi flashed his inked finger to crowds of onlookers and appealed them to exercise their franchise.
एक तरफ आतंकवाद का शस्त्र आईईडी होता है, आतंकवाद का शस्त्र आईईडी होता है और लोकतंत्र का शस्त्र, लोकतंत्र का शक्ति, लोकतंत्र का शस्त्र वोटर आईडी होता है। मुझे विश्वास है कि वोटर आईडी की ताकत आईईडी से भी अनेक गुना ज्यादा है।
Meanwhile, large queues were also seen outside polling booths in Wayanad district in India's southern Kerala province. Wayanad has shot to national prominence after the president of the main opposition Congress party, Rahul Gandhi, chose the picturesque constituency to run for parliament with people brimming with high hopes would usher in development. In all, 188 million voters were eligible to cast ballots in 117 constituencies during the third phase of the election across 15 provinces and federally administered territories. India's parliament has 545 members.
जो अच्छी सरकार हो, अच्छा हो, उसको हम मतदान करेगा। आप ये मीडिया के लिए हम सबको बोल रहे हैं, सब भी वोट देने घर से निकले और जो अच्छा काम हो, अच्छा सरकार हो, उसको वोट देना जरूरी है।
The seven-phase general elections, which began on April 11th, is spread over 39 days with the final phase on May 19th. Votes will be counted on May 23rd and the results are expected the same day.
India's Foreign Ministry said on Monday in a statement that India shared with China all evidence of terrorist activities of Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed and its leader Masood Azhar during Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale's latest visit to Beijing. This came after China last month blocked India's bid to sanction Masood Azhar as a global terrorist for the fourth time at the UN Security Council, saying that it needs more time to evaluate the proposal.
India shared with China all evidence of terrorist activities of Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed or JEM and its leader Masood Azhar during Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale's latest visit to Beijing, according to India's Foreign Ministry spokesperson Ravish Kumar. Indian Foreign Secretary Vijay Gokhale on Monday met Chinese Foreign Minister and State Councillor Wang Yi as part of regular diplomatic consultations between the two countries. China had on March 13 blocked India's bid to sanction Masood Azhar as a global terrorist for the fourth time at the United Nations, saying that it needs more time to evaluate the proposal. India's bid at the UN had come in the wake of gruesome terror attack claimed by JEM in India's Jammu and Kashmir, which killed at least 40 Indian security personnel on February 14th. US and India have long accused Pakistan of providing safe havens to terrorists such as Masood Azhar and also the founder of Lashkar-e-Taiba, Hafiz Saeed, who is also a UN-designated terrorist.
The third batch of 100 Indian fishermen who were under Pakistan's custody walked back to their side of the border after being released on Monday. Pakistan has announced to set free a total of 360 Indian prisoners in 4 phases this month as a goodwill gesture. It had released the first batch of 100 Indian fishermen on April 7th.
The third batch of 100 Indian fishermen who were under Pakistan's custody walked back to their side of the border after being released on Monday. The fishermen were part of the third batch of 360 Indian prisoners Pakistan has announced to set free in 4 phases this month as a goodwill gesture amid tensions between the two countries post the deadly Pulwama terror attack claimed by Pakistan-based Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group in February. The fishermen were reportedly arrested for fishing illegally in Pakistani waters during various operations over the past few months. Pakistan had released the first batch of 100 Indian fishermen on April 7th. The process will be completed on April 29 when 55 fishermen and 5 other prisoners will be released. Due to rocky relations between the two sides, prisoners who have completed their jail terms often languish in each other's jails for months, if not years afterwards.
And in news from Afghanistan, activists in Afghanistan carried out a peaceful rally criticizing the government and the Taliban for announcing spring operations in the country. The Taliban announced the spring offensive on April 12th in response to the Afghan government's recent security plan, which aims to combat insurgency.
Members of the People's Peace Movement, also called the Helmand Peace Convoy in Afghanistan, held a peaceful rally in Jalalabad city recently where they criticized the Afghan government and the Taliban for announcing spring operations. The rally was also joined by residents of Nangarhar province who demanded that the offensives must stop to move forward towards an intra-Afghan dialogue. This came after the Taliban announced its spring offensive called Al-Fatah on April 12th and declared that it was in response to the Afghan government's operation announcement.
منگا دولتی چارواو کو تم تا پیغام ورکو سپاس دې من کورو کې مټاریګو منګې باندې مټاریګو من خار تم نشوتلای والله ز خپل ولسوالۍ نه څلور کاله کېږي نشم تلای
نه د خالد عملیات بنو او نه د فتح عملیات بنو په دې کې افغانان مړ کېږي افغانان یتیمان کېږي خزي کونډېږي نور بس نور نه د کونډو جایسته او نه د یتیمانو جایسته په دولت بغا کو چې مذاکرات ته هغه کې فشار نسی او په طالبانو بغا کو چې نور بس.
The Afghan government announced a security plan called Khalid Operation, aimed at boosting security across the country, particularly the security of urban areas and highways. The security plan was approved by President Ashraf Ghani amid intensifying conflicts between security forces and the Taliban.
Sri Lanka remained in deep shock on Tuesday, 2 days after a string of bombings tore through churches and luxury hotels on Easter Sunday, killing more than 300 people and leaving around 500 wounded. The Islamic State militant group claimed responsibility for the bombings.
Sri Lanka remained in deep shock on Tuesday, 2 days after a string of bombings tore through churches and luxury hotels on Easter Sunday, killing more than 300 people and leaving around 500 wounded. Islamic State claimed responsibility for the bombings. Authorities cordoned off a wider area surrounding St. Anthony's Shrine, one of the bombing sites in capital city Colombo, after a few bombs were defused in the locality on Monday. A survivor of the St. Anthony's Church blast said she doesn't like going to the church anymore as she's very scared to go there.
யார்ட சத துண்டன்னு தெரியல. அங்கே பார்த்தா ஒரு சின்ன பிள்ளைகளோட காலும் கையும் ரத்தமும் மனுஷோட உடம்புல பாதியும் தலை பாதியும் அதுகளை பார்த்துட்டு வந்துட்டேன். எனக்கு அதை பார்த்துட்டு எனக்கு என்ன செய்யணும்னு தெரியாமல் நான் வீட்டுக்கு வந்து எனக்கு மனம் எல்லாம் அதிர்ச்சி மாதிரி வந்துட்டுது.
Meanwhile, Sri Lankan President Maithripala Sirisena also visited the bombed Saint Sebastian Church in Negombo city on Tuesday, where over 100 people were killed in the suicide bomb attack on Sunday. The government invoked the emergency law in the country a day after the bombings, giving police and the military extensive powers to detain and interrogate suspects without court orders. The police had been cautioning 40 people in connection with the attacks on the churches and hotels, reports suggested.
A collector of items of historical importance in India's northwestern Ajmer city boasts of a collection of old books, coins, letters and manuscripts dating back to the Mughal era. Collections of rare items is an intriguing hobby, especially in a country like India, which has seen a large number of rulers and kingdoms and an unstable history.
B.L. Samra, who lives in Ajmer city of India's northwestern Rajasthan province, is one of the rare collectors of old books, coins, letters and manuscripts dating back to the Mughal era. Samra, who started collecting rare items at the age of 11, has coins from Mughal era, postal stamps of over 125 countries and over 100-year-old Hindu scripture, Bhagavad Gita, written in Farsi or Persian language in his collection. Samra says that he got the inspiration of collecting rare things from his grandfather. He has been exhibiting his collection of rare items in different parts of the province for the last 5 decades.
1969 में तब मैंने अपनी पहली प्रदर्शनी लगाई जब मैं छठी कक्षा में था. गांधी जी के 100 चित्रों की एक मैंने वहाँ पे अपनी प्रदर्शनी लगाई थी. उसको भरपूर सराहना मिली. जिला स्तर पे भी उसको एग्जिबिट किया गया और वहीं से मेरे संग्रह की एक तरह से व्यवस्थित रूप से शुरुआत हुई.
Collections of rare items is an intriguing hobby, especially in a country like India, which has seen a large number of rulers and kingdoms and an unstable history.
Devotees thronged the shrine of a Sufi saint in Shopia district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province recently to observe his Urs or death anniversary. They offered prayers and remembered the Sufi saint's teachings. It was in 1480 that the wandering Sufis arrived in Kashmir and Sufism became the way of life for the majority of the people in the valley.
Devotees including men, women and children recently thronged the shrine of Sufi saint Hazrat Sayyid Bahauddin Ganj Bakhsh Simnani in Shopian district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province to pay their respects on his Urs or death anniversary. Kashmir Valley in India is known as the Valley of Sufis and Saints, where people observe number of annual Urs with devotion and religious fervour. The Urs commenced with the recitation of the Holy Quran, salutations and sermons followed by night-long prayers. People were also seen enjoying local cuisines offered outside the shrine.
उर्स मनाया जा रहा है हज़रत सईद बाहुद्दीन गंज बख्शी सिमनानी रहमतुल्लाह अलैह का. यहाँ पे पूरी रात शब खानी हो रही थी. लोग यहाँ पे बहुत दूर दूर से आते हैं क्योंकि उनका अकीदा है जो भी यहाँ आते हैं जो भी वो दिल से दुआएं मांगते हैं वो पूरी हो जाती है उनकी वो दुआएं.
देख रहे हैं इनका पैगाम जो था वो क्या था. अपने इस्लाम पे डटे रहना, अपने इस्लाम के मुताबिक मतलब जो इस्लाम ने बयान किया है उसको कहना और उसी के रद्द-ए-अमल उसका अमल करना, उस पे अमल करना.
Sufi saints are revered the most in the hilly province of Jammu and Kashmir. It was in 1400 AD that the wandering Sufis arrived in Kashmir and Sufism became the way of life for the majority of the people in the valley.
Well, that's all we have for you from South Asia this evening. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night. Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Amnesty slams US over civilian deaths in Afghanistan. Indian Prime Minister Modi inaugurates power projects in Kargil. And Bangladesh prepares to mark death anniversary of Father of the Nation. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.